Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be looking at XRP. Before we jump into the price action, I just want to say thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and why not leave us some feedback down below. Always happy to hear from you, so drop it down there, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Why not come check it out, it is free to join, and once you are in there, just add mention a member of staff and we'll help you out with anything you may need. Okay. So we're going to be looking at XRP again. There's still a few options on the table here. Potentially, we could still be looking for this move to the upside to complete this X wave, or alternatively, we have already begun this decline, and we could have actually formed this as an A and be potentially looking to drop down for that C wave to the downside. So this is still something that's on the cards. The structure here is not great to the upside, to be honest with you. I was looking for this to potentially be a flat. It did come into the zone, so we'll have to see how we react from there. If we actually drop down, take these lows of this 30 cent, then basically what I'd be looking for is rather that we are looking for the fact that we are looking to drop down towards some of these lower points here. So for as long as we hold this point, and we're going to go over some key support areas, effectively we could still look for that potential to come back up and retest this channel line. So we're going to talk about all these things within the video, so make sure you stay tuned so that you don't miss them out. Effectively, if we look at this move as a three-wave structure here to the downside, what we can argue is that if this B wave is complete, we could actually be looking to start this drop towards this 24.35. However, like I said, for as long as we hold this zone here, it is still possible we find support and push up one more time. So we just need to keep this in mind and basically look at the structure coming down here and see if we manage to find some key support zones. So we're going to go over that in a second. But effectively, that one-to-one would be here at this 24.35 that we could look to actually push down to the downside. So if I throw this back onto the WXYZ, effectively the one-to-one with the W wave would actually be down here at this 1464. So potentially this would mean that there's potential to actually drop down much harder here. So we need to just keep an eye on this and see how this actually plays out. Because if we do drop down from here, this Z wave could technically complete with the C wave, or alternatively, there could be some extension and we actually look to push much deeper down into the zone. So until, like I said, until we actually lose this 30 cent range, we cannot get rid of any sort of bullish potential in this move. And what we'd be looking for here, I'm going to go over this now to, let's go into the smaller time frame here. Actually, I'll only keep it on the 4 hour. So within this, I'm looking at two things. So if we were looking in this in isolation, we can argue that we could potentially get a fourth wave here and a fifth wave to the upside. This is what we were looking at last time. We're actually looking to come higher here than this 4357, but we didn't quite manage it. We are, however, holding this position of this previous wave here. So this is still possible, but the problem is it is starting to get quite big, and it is quite a messy move to the upside here. So it would indicate to me that either we're getting extension within this wave, and one thing that I am keen on seeing is whether we manage to hold this 36.57. Because if we do hold this zone here, we can argue that potentially we could be looking at some extension. And if we're looking at that potential for actually forming a five-wave move to the upside here, then potentially this could look to fit into that narrative. And that would be looking for this C wave to the upside here. So this is something that could still be in play here for as long as we hold some key areas. And what we could argue is that for as long as we hold above this line, this 3655, we could potentially look at this move to the downside. And if I come in here, we're going to go over, there's a more bearish option to this as well. So we've already come down to that one-to-one at that 37.48. So technically speaking, this could be a corrective move. So we'll have to just see if we manage to hold the support of this low here, or whether we can actually hold this lower one here, this 36.55. For as long as we hold this zone, we can argue that we could see some kind of an extension to the upside. And basically, what we'd be looking for then is the potential of something like this. And if I just turn this off for a second, basically looking at this as the potential for 1, 2, and then looking for a third wave to the upside. Like I said, losing this point of this 36.55 would invalidate this. And given the fact that the other coins are looking like they are going to pull back, it's not my preferred, it's not my sort of favorite expectation, but it is still possible for as long as we hold this low. So if this is the case, effectively what we could be looking at is the potential to actually come back and form its 5 wave move to the upside. The confirmation of this would only come by moving past this 49.01 though, and then we'd be looking for that fourth and that fifth to the upside. It wouldn't give us a lot of space between this fourth and this fifth and this wave one here though, so we would have to see how this plays out, and potentially this could extend up a little bit. But if we do form something like this, then we can start to argue that actually maybe the reason this doesn't make sense is that we have this as a 1, 2, this becomes a 3, 4, 5, and then actually we have another leg here for another 4 and a 5. So this would potentially look to take us up to this zone, though we would need more confirmation that this is actually what's playing out within the structure. We can also potentially count this slightly differently, where we look at this as a 5 wave move from here. We get a 1, 2, 1, 2. So, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Because of the chop in here, it is not very neat, though, as a 5 wave structure. So, we also need to just be aware that this could just play out because I've got it marked up as as ABC, but it could actually also play out as a 3 wave move. So, if that was the case, what we'd be looking for here potentially is actually looking to come back down, find support, and then push up one more time for a Y wave, or alternatively, until we actually take this high point of this 55.95, it could either be just a B wave or it could be a Y wave to the upside. The important thing would be how we react from that point. So this is still on the cards. It is still possible, and if this is the case, it would look something like this. So I'm going to go with the corrective move to the upside. And basically what we could see is something like this. If we fail to hold this and we actually look to break down deeper here, but we manage to hold the support zone of this 36.04 to this 32.44, it is possible we could look to find support in here and then actually look to push up one more time for this C wave. So there is some support in this zone. We can see there's a little bit of consolidation here. And it is possible that we could look to come back towards this 50% line, which would invalidate that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we've got marked here. But as long as we hold this 30 cent, there is still the potential that we could still form this to the upside here. So whether that be a flat as an A wave, we come back down for a B and then we push up for a 5 wave move, or alternatively, we look at this move completed into this low and then actually we look at this as an A, P, and a C. So there's a couple of ways of looking at the structure. It's very choppy in this zone currently. So um, either a break to the upside here would give us a bit more clarity. We're actually breaking down and starting to take some of these lows that we have here would eliminate some of the options. But if we did see a move down to this 50% here at this 36.04, we could potentially look for this C wave to the upside here. Though we'd need to be just mindful that this could technically extend to the downside. Like I said, it has come to that 1-to-1 if we're looking at it just simply as a corrective structure. And that other zones that could be interesting is this 381, 382, which would be right in this zone here. But effectively, if we start to come down below this 1618, it starts to become less likely that this is just a corrective structure and would potentially indicate that we have some extension within the moves to the downside. So this is basically what I'm currently looking at. If we manage to hold this zone, because we've come back down, if I throw this fib onto here, and we're looking just at the 5 wave structure, we've actually come down to that 854. So potentially, if we hold this zone and then we form like a 1, 2, then we start to break up for a third, fourth, and fifth. Then we come back, find support, and start to move away from here. It could be possible that we are looking to do something like complete this third wave, or alternatively, we could have just had a really short B wave, and then actually that would push the C wave target up potentially. And if we did have to complete into this zone, we didn't actually look to break down lower here. I'm going to just measure out that target again. Effectively, then what we could be looking for is more like a move to the upside towards this area of 153.84. So this is still something that's on the cards. We need to see how the structure holds here. If we can manage to hold these points, we need to see how we push up. If we push up in a clear 5-wave move here, then we can argue that we are potentially getting some extension within the waves, and that, like I said, we have this potentially as a 1 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 4 5, and then we'd actually be looking to complete that as a 5-wave structure. But at the moment, there's too much overlap within this to give it a clear count as a 5-wave move. I was looking initially for the possibility of looking at this as a diagonal, where this would become 1 2 3 4 5, but there is some issues with the count in the sense we don't get the overlap and the waves are not long enough. So either we need to count it as something that's going to potentially extend, or it is just a corrective structure, and you'd have to look at it as a basically a W, X, Y, X, and a Z. And then effectively this would be your B wave potential. If we fail to hold this 30-cent range, then there could be potential downside, like I said, towards that 1 to 1 that we went over earlier. Okay, so now talking about the downside, I'm going to just have a look at this. We can also look for potential to break down here. And if I come in here, basically what I'd be looking for is the potential to actually start to form impulsive structure here. So the way we would be looking at this is potentially as this is a series of ones and twos. It's not very reliable doing this, but we've mapped it out to see if we start to get this extension. If we do start to break down and get these extensions, and we move past this 36, 38, then potentially we could actually be looking to have these extensions. These are just based off of fib levels at the moment. Obviously, the most important thing is the wave structure itself. If we start to get this breaking down, we can start to get further extensions within the waves, which would change these targets. But just based off the current information, effectively, we could look for a 5-wave move down to this 35.97 area to this 35.35 zone if we do move past this 36.38. That's provided we don't get any further extension. However, at the moment, we don't have that. We just have 3-wave moves here. So this is just looking for that potential to break down. It's not guaranteed, and this can just turn around here and move up. Basically, this first count here would get invalidated by taking this high point, and then these subsequent high points would also invalidate these additional fourths and fifths. But this is just something I'm keeping an eye on in case we do start to break down much heavier, and looking for this, like I said, as that potential A, B, and then a C. It is also possible that we could start to form something here where we look at this slightly different. And if I just turn this off for a second, basically we need to just be aware that we could also see something like this play out, where we get this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 as a diagonal. Then we come back up for a 3-wave move as a B wave, and then actually we look to break down again for a much deeper move. And then basically what we'd be looking for is that this would then become a diagonal shape. It would take something, the shape would take something like this, where potentially connect this high point here, connect this low point here, and form this wedge shape, this expanding wedge shape. So if we do get another breakdown here, find support, bounce back up, test that, and then break down again, it is possible that we either that we could be forming a diagonal. So it needs a bit more time, this one. It's not as clear cut as I'd hoped when I was looking at it. I thought there would have been a bit more clarity now. But for as long as, like I said, as long as we hold this low point, we can still look for that potential to push up. But we need to be aware of the fact that we can also break down here. So if we do start to break down deeper, we can start looking for these additional legs within the moves and then look for that deeper retracement here. Ultimately, losing that support range we talked about at, let me get the right one. Losing the support range here of this 3604 to this 3244 would effectively make us invalidate that structure, and we wouldn't be able to look at that bullish case anymore. So that's just something we need to keep an eye on. If we lose this zone, effectively, then we are sort of we've lost that position, and then it becomes very unlikely that we're going to continue up once we lose this 3244, and it becomes more likely we're going to lose this low point. So that's what we're looking for. We'll try to keep you up to date once we get a bit more information. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please Smash that like button if you did. If you are new to the channel or if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and why not leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Once you're in the general chat area, just mention member of staff. We'll be happy to help you out. Also in the description, you'll find a link to you'll find affiliate links for PrimeXBT and BYBIT, both great exchanges that we use on a regular basis when we're doing our trading. So come check them out if you haven't got one already. Using the link does support the channel, and we do appreciate it. Everyone, have a safe day, and we'll see you out there.